Right, how y'all doing? Bit of a weird one today. It's Valentine's Day today, which I don't really believe in. There's a lot of things I don't really believe in, but for some reason do anyway. In some cases, you kind of have to. It's the nice thing to do. So I've had a Valentine's Day, which it's just weird because it ties into a few other really. What makes it weird is the things that tie into it. Okay, so I had a fantastic Valentine's Day meal. We had a Mickey D's, me and the family. Well good. So I felt really fat, and then I got some sleep. I've had sleep, by the way, but the sleep tracker keeps deciding to have a nap for whatever reason. See, the thing is, at some point after the Valentine's Day meal, snuggled up on the sofa, I woke up. There was something on the telly about World War II U-boats dry dock bunkers? And the bit I caught about that was the French weren't happy about it, and they had 6 meters of concrete that was supposed to make them bomb-proof, so that the people under them could just go, ah, whatever, mate. I think. And that's just weird because everything seems to recommend war-y stuff to me these days. This all started in like 2020. I've always made dodgy jokes about other countries and my own country and just dictatorships and dodgy politics stuff. I don't believe in politics. As I say, there's lots of things I don't believe in. But, like, I'd always make jokes about North Korea. Like, always. Not nasty jokes, just jokey jokes about North Korea. You know? Like, when I'm part of a podcast, that would be the only podcast allowed to be like listened to in North Korea. Like, we would be the North Korean podcast or something, you know. If anyone ever wanted a reason to say this is why you don't want to be part of that thing, they'd point to us, and that would completely be a thing. Like, if you ever wanted a reason to keep your citizenry away from the UK, just point at me. I'm a pretty good example of why we're a terrible country, I would imagine. Look how foul-mouthed and poorly educated those nuggets are over there. Example. Look how completely not stylish they are. Example. Has a reasonable beard though. It's terrible actually, but example. This all actually started, not the jokes about North Korea, but because of the jokes of North Korea, it kind of became the recommendation thing started happening in like 2020, because I got recommended a podcast from Noiser called Real Dictators, and they had like a 3-parter on Kim Jong-il, I think. It might have been Kim Il-sung. I don't remember, but it was one of the, I think it was Kim Jong-il. Might have been Kim Jong-il. And then from that point on, it went to like, I went down this rabbit hole of just dictators and stuff, and it was like Stalin and Hitler and Pol Pot and what was the last one? Turkmenbashi and Idi Amin and Papa Doc, and it's like, oh, what are you doing? You crazy man. And now just everything is like, hey, do you want to check out something to do with the war? And it's like, the war, like it's the only one. Yeah, sure. The war. But then I suppose I find never really that big of a thing on it before, but I find other people's history more interesting than my own country. It's the same with most other things. Like, I find most other country stuff more interesting than my own because I live in my own country. If you haven't realised, I mean, this is my country. I made this, you know, founded it like hundreds of thousands of years ago with Tom Cruise. He was there. It's another joke, don't worry about it. And yeah, it's just, when you are in a country, you hear the spiel from your country about why your country is the bestest country and the bigliest country, and you just, everything you do is the right. You're the rightliest, right people in the world, and job the done. And then you check out the history from the other side, and they're like, "What a bunch of bastards you were!" It's like, cool, I can see that. Also, just as a random note, in that TV show documentary thing, there's this thing with, and you should bringing up this kind of stuff is just weird, right? I told you it's weird. There's this thing with like Hitler pinching the cheek of this kid, and I'm like, do you really think any of those dictators were like, you know, little kid, bouncing the kid on the knee, how you doing, little kiddie, happy times, yeah? Or, I don't know, just, because you sometimes, like, drawing that, like, the thing from, you were an evil bastard, to, hi kiddie, do you want some sweets, and look, happy times, and, I mean, I guess you gotta keep someone sweet, right? Or like you look at the Stalin kissing the baby, and the baby's like, get that crazy man away from me! I could not imagine, like, I don't know, Pol Pot going around kissing children and stuffs. Who's the American president guy that started like going around kissing children and everyone said he was a psychopath, and then the baby started crying or something? Who was that? I was looking in recent history. Ooh, the strangeness. Anyway, so that's a thing. So apparently I must have slept, and dictatorships. It's just great. It's everywhere. It's absolutely everywhere. I listen to some right random fluff, and I watch some right random fluff. But that's not the highlight of my day. Okay? Highlight of my day is the fact that my big human had a fantastic day at school today. In fact, he got an award. I'm well proud of him for it. Just top notch. There's some stuff on the back too, but we won't show off because I won't embarrass him too much. Tiny Human also had a pretty solid day at school, although he's like, oh, I don't know if I did, Dad, I don't know if I did. I mean, there was this blip. I was like, mate, come on, it's a blip. Be done. Good day. Like that. So then, other than all of the random and the family, I've been playing with FSR, which is the AMD upscaling technology. But this version, it's like I can't say it's the equivalent of NVIDIA's DLSS because it doesn't function in any way like DLSS, but it's kind of the same job in that it's an upscaly AA style technology. I'm really oversimplifying. It takes small image, big image, make smaller, re-render, make bigger. So kind of almost free performance because it's up-resing from low to make big. Don't worry about it. You don't need to. I was streaming doing the test of the VR stuff that I was talking about in yesterday's video, and a few people came in and mentioned a different overlay that I could use. I normally use OVR Toolkit, and I think this was like OS something overlay. I don't know what it was, but that was recommended to me. And it was recommended that I take a crack at the FSR. There's an FSR mod for VR, so that you can do the whole upscaling thing in VR, which is funny because one of my mates was talking to me on the phone before I went live. Like, wouldn't it be great if DLSS was a thing in VR? And I was like, it would be, but I imagine that'd be really, really, really awkward to implement. Like, because DLSS requires... the AI algorithms need to be trained per game, whereas FSR can just literally be dumped straight in, from what I understand. So to find this FSR mod the same time we were talking about VR upscaling was quite interesting. I had a little go at it. I've had a little play with it in both Zenith and VR chat. I haven't had a huge go at VR chat. In Zenith, it works, but I just found that for me, as like if I hit live, the whole thing just falls apart in a heartbeat. It allows me to play at a somewhat smoother frame rate with FSR enabled, but then it also does mean that the stream image takes a hit. So the image that I put out to the stream, not just the stream that I get in, the image I get in the headset takes a hit, but the whole thing takes a hit, which is fine if that's what you're after. But FSR really benefits from having a bigger image to scale down and then rescale up. Whereas DLSS will happily take a small image, make it look good big. FSR really needs those higher resolutions, and if you can't get to those higher resolutions first, you just end up with mud. So it's a bit. I imagine with tweaking and improvements, it'll be pretty solid. I like what it did. Just in my use case, it didn't work. So if anyone is looking for some kind of easy performance mods in VR, it's the FSR VR mod, I think it's called. You just search it up, it's on GitHub, and it's just like a DLL and a config file, and you just drop that in per game and it will activate per game. So if you don't want to use it in Zenith but you want to use it in VR chat, you can just copy over the stuff, rename the DLL that's already in the file, in the directory. There's instructions on the page. Just rename the DLL that's in the thing. So like, I don't know, underscore back or whatever, or 01 or orig or whatever you want to rename it. Put in the mod DLL and then change the config file to how you want to scale it and sharpen it and all that kind of stuff. And just literally kind of, you know, free performance, I suppose. It's nice, it's neat. It is a neat trick to have in the VR, and it might help for people who have lower end the hardware. Your mileage may vary. But I'm going to probably not use that for tomorrow's stream, and I will probably have a little go with it in VR chat just to see how that makes some of the more unruly worlds I hang out in, how that will make those go. But that'll be pretty cool. I might ask a couple of my mates with lower end machines to, I say lower end machines, they're probably as the same-ish spec as some of my machines, but I would like to see, some of them struggle in some instances in VR. I'd like to see how some of these tricks work for them. So reduction in resolution, rendering resolution, and FSR, and see what they get. Can they go from unplayable to playable with these few tricks? That would be the interesting. But yeah, that is the groove. Very much the groove. Oh, and the folks I bumped into in Zenith today, absolutely fantastic people. I'm really loving the VR community these days. Such nice people. Just randomly having people turn up in like streams and stuff, and then popping up in game and just basically just chatting shit for hours and hours and hours and hours. Absolutely brilliant. Kind of like what I'm doing now. But I'm head off because I've got an early start tomorrow, and I'm really hoping I can get that audio tomorrow. So I've got bits to do in the evening. That's my game night tomorrow. So I think the day's going to be kind of empty, but I really want to have a look at that audio before I do the game night stuff, because I'm going to be out Wednesday night. So if it's a nightmare, I want to be prepped. I want it done by the end of the week. So anyway, just gonna go bed the time, see if I can actually get some proper sleep again. Yay! See if I can wake up to another documentary about U-boats or dictators hugging children or something. I don't know. Hope you're well, and I'll see you all with a bit of luck in the next one. Could you imagine a world dictators Christmas party and how that'd go? They all have to dress up like Santa and elves and stuff like that. That'd be fucking weird. Random places my head goes.